takes pride in presenting Orson Welles in the first production of a unique new summer series by the Mercury Theatre on the air. In a single year, the first in the life of the Mercury Theatre, Orson Welles has come to be the most famous name of our time in American drama. Says Collier's magazine,
23-year-old Orson Welles threw a bombshell onto Broadway.
Robert Benchley writes in the New Yorker,
the production by the Mercury is, I should say, just about perfect.
Time magazine declares, the brightest moon that has risen over Broadway in years. Welles should feel at home in the sky, for the sky is the only limit which his ambitions recognize. And finally, the United Press remarked,
the meteoric rise of Orson Welles' Mercury Theatre continues unabated.
With 4 hit shows in 1 year, the Mercury might well close its doors on one of the most unparalleled seasons in Broadway history. But Mr. Welles has long been working on a project for a greater audience, the Broadways of the entire United States. The Columbia Network is proud to give Orson Welles the opportunity to bring to the air those same qualities of vitality and imagination that have made him the most talked-of theatrical director in America today. And it is this project which Columbia brings you this summer. The first time in its history that radio has extended such an invitation to an entire theatrical institution. But here is Orson Welles himself to tell you about it. The director of the Mercury Theatre, the star and producer of these programs, Orson Welles.
Good evening. The Mercury Theatre faces tonight a challenge, an opportunity for which we are grateful. We will present during the next 9 weeks many different kinds of stories. Stories of romance and adventure, biography and mystery, and stories of human emotion. Stories by Robert Louis Stevenson, Emile Zola, Dostoevsky, Edgar Allan Poe, and P.J. Wodehouse. We're starting off tonight with the best story of its kind ever written. You'll find it in every representative library of classic English narratives. It is Bram Stoker's Dracula. But it is Arthur Seward who tells this story. The next time I speak to you, I am Count Dracula. And so, goodbye for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you in Transylvania.
The Mercury Theatre on the air presents Orson Welles as Count Dracula in his own version of Bram Stoker's great novel, Dracula.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Arthur Seward. I am here tonight to bear witness to the truth of certain events, which you may find it hard to believe, but I ask you to believe them. I have here certain documents, telegrams, clippings from the press of the day, memoranda and letters in various hands. All needless matters have been eliminated, so the history, almost at variance with the possibilities of contemporary belief, may stand forth as simple fact. I present to you first, with excerpts from the private journal of Jonathan Harker.
I, Jonathan Harker, lawyer's clerk, articles to Peter Hawkins, Esquire of Exeter, England, am writing in this journal in the hope that if misfortune overtakes me, it may one day come to the eyes of those who love me. I set out from London on the last day of April to visit one of our clients in Eastern Europe. On May the 3rd, I arrived in Budapest and came upon nightfall to Klausenburg on the borders of Transylvania. At Bisterisk, there was a letter of welcome from me for our client, informing me that his carriage would await me at the Borgo Pass. It was signed, Dracula.
Bukovina! Coach for Bukovina!
The road was rough, but still we seemed to fly over it with feverish haste. When it grew dark, there seemed to be some sort of excitement among the passengers. They kept speaking to the driver and looking at me and urging him on with greater speed. The crazy coach rocks from its great leather springs, and the mountains seemed to come near to us on either side. Coachman, what is it? Where are we?
You are nearing your destination, young heir. This is the Borgo Pass.
There were black rolling clouds overhead, and in the air the heavy, oppressive sense of thunder. Now we are through the pass.
The young heir is not expected after all.
You are early tonight, my friend.
A caleche with 4 horses had drawn up beside us.
Let me help you, sir.
The coachman smiled, and the lamplight fell on a hard-looking mouth with berry red lips and sharp-looking teeth as white as ivory. We began to move. I looked back. The coach and its load of passengers had vanished from sight. We swept into the darkness of the pass. I struck a match, and it was within a few minutes of midnight. Then a dog began to howl somewhere from the road. The wind was rising, moaning and whistling through the rocks, and the branches of the trees crashed together as we swept along. It grew colder and colder still, and the fine powdery snow began to fall. The baying of the wolves sounded nearer and nearer, as though they were closing around us from every side. And we kept ascending, always ascending, and the howl of wolf was growing less. Presently it ceased altogether. And then the moon broke through the black clouds, and by its light I saw around us a ring of wolves running along the carriage in silence, with white teeth and lolling red tongues and long sinewy limbs and shaggy hair.
Welcome to my house.
I must have fallen asleep. The carriage had pulled up in the courtyard of a vast ruined castle, and the coachman was nowhere to be seen.
Welcome to my house. Enter freely and of your own will. Come safely, go freely, and leave something of the happiness you bring.
Count Dracula.
I am Dracula, and I bid you welcome, Mr. Harker, to my house. Come in. It is late, and my people are not available. Let me see to your comfort myself.
The face was strong, very strong, aquiline. And the mouth, so far as I could see under the heavy moustache, was fixed and rather cruel looking, with particularly sharp white teeth.
You hear then, Mr. Harker?
The wolves.
The children of the night. As you say, Mr. Harker, the wolves. Listen to them. What music they make. Come now. There are many things you must tell me tomorrow of England, of the estate which you have purchased for me.
Yes.
The estate is called Carfax Abbey, I believe.
Yes, that is so.
Now I will detain you no longer. You will find your room in readiness, and I advise you not to leave it during the night. The castle is old and has many memories, and there are bad dreams for those who sleep unwisely.
The castle is on the very edge of a terrible precipice. A stone falling from the window would fall 1,000 feet without touching anything. I explored. There are doors everywhere, and all of them locked. The door to the great hall, the door to the courtyard, every door in the castle is bolted against me. Castle Dracula is a prison, and I am its prisoner. The next night I could not sleep, so after a few hours I got up, and lighting my candle I placed a shaving mirror on the dressing table, and I was just beginning to shave.
You seem restless, Mr. Harker.
I had not seen him, although the reflection of the glass covered the whole room behind me. I turned to the glass again. Count Dracula was close to me, and I could see him over my shoulder, but there was no reflection of him in the mirror. It was blank. I started and cut myself on the side of the throat, and the blood was trickling down my neck. The Count threw my mirror.
The blood! The blood! Wipe the blood from your pretty neck, Mr. Harker, and take care how you cut yourself. It is more dangerous than you think in this country.
When I awoke, I found most of my things were gone. My passport, my notes, my letter of credit. I couldn't find no trace of them anywhere, and my door was locked from the outside. June 20th. There is some kind of work going on in the castle, and now and then I hear the faraway muffled sound of a mattock and spade. And last night, the second of 3 dated letters went out that Count Dracula made me write, and the second of that series, which was to blot out the very traces of my existence from the earth forever. Count Dracula?
Yes, my young friend.
Well, what of me? When am I free? When can I leave this place?
Free? Mr. Harker, you are always free. You want to leave? Would you like to leave tonight?
Yes, in God's name, yes.
My dear young friend, not an hour shall you wait in my house against your will. Come, follow me. The door seems to be locked. How strange, the door is bolted.
Well, in God's name, open it, open it.
As you will, Mr. Harker. You English have a proverb which is very close to my heart. Welcome the coming, speed departing guest. Good night, Mr. Harker.
Shut the door! Shut the door! I tell you, shut the door! 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 Shut the door!
The door is shut, Mr. Harker. I take it you choose to remain.
Morning, June the 30th. These may be the last words I ever write in this diary. Oh God, preserve my sanity. I have never seen Count Dracula by day. At sunrise, at the first cockcrow, he is gone. I don't understand these things. I only know that the wolves are baying, and that he is a man with hair on the palms of his hands, with sharp teeth and no blood in his face. He casts no shadow. He cannot be seen in glass, and he moves like a bat across the sheer face of the castle walls. He eats no food, and he's mortally afraid of the crucifix. As I write this, I can hear in the courtyard the rolling of heavy wheels and the cracking of whips. And there is in the passageway below a pound of heavy boxes being set down, boxes shaped like coffins, and I know what they hold. The boxes are filled with holy earth from the chapel beneath the castle. It is the last box being nailed down. And now I hear the heavy feet trampling again. The door is shut, and the chains rattle. In the courtyard and down the rocky way, the roll of heavy wheels and the cracks of whips. Help! 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 The wagons have gone. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone. Mina!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Seward. Mr. Harker's journal terminates at this point. I now present in evidence a clipping dated August of that year from the Yorkshire Telegraph from our correspondents in Whitby. One of the greatest and sudden of storms on record was experienced here today. The weather's been somewhat sultry, but Saturday evening was fine. The band was playing, the piers on the crowd were filled with holidaymakers. The wind fell away entirely during the evening, and there was a dead calm. There were but few lights at the sea. The only sail noticeable was a foreign schooner under full canvas that was seemingly going westward. A little after midnight, there came a strange sound from over the sea. The high overhead, the air began to carry a strange, faint, hollow booming. Then, without warning, the tempest broke, and there, with all sails set, was the foreign schooner, rushing with terrific speed toward the shore. A searchlight was turned on her, and there, lashed to the helm, was a corpse with drooping head, which swayed horribly to and fro at each motion of the ship. A moment later, she crashed! And then, a strange thing was seen. At the very instant she touched, a huge dog sprang up on deck from below and running forward, jumped up on the bow onto the sand and making straight for the cliff toward the graveyard, vanished into the night. The Coast Guard, going aboard at dawn, found the dead man fastened to a spoke of the wheel. Tightly clutched in one hand was a crucifix. The man must have been dead for quite 2 days. In the pocket of the dead man's coat was found a bottle, carefully caught, containing a roll of paper. This proved to be an addendum to the schooner's log. There was found on board only a small amount of cargo, and that of a most unusual nature. Apparently, the ship carried nothing but earth, common earth, packed away in wooden boxes shaped much like coffins.
Logo the Demeter, Russian flag, Black Sea to Whitby, July 6th. Finished taking in cargo, a queer cargo, boxes of earth. At noon set sail, east wind fresh. Crew, 4 hands, 2 mates, cook and myself, captain. July 11th, entered Bosporus. At dark passed through Dardanelles. Mate reported the morning that one of crew, Viodin, was missing.
Took larboard watch 8 bells last night. He was relieved by Talisian, who never came to his bunk. There is something aboard this ship. And yet, don't laugh, Captain. In the rain last night, a tall, thin man go up to the companionway and along the deck forward and disappear. When I go to the bow, no one, hatchways all closed.
July 22nd. Rough weather last 3 days. All hands busy with sails. No time to be frightened. Past Gibraltar and out through straits. All well. July 24th. Last night, another hand was lost. Disappeared. Like Talisian. He came off his watch at midnight and we never see him again.
You want the double watch now?
I don't take watch alone no more.
Nor will I.
No more. Double watch.
July 29th. Had single watch tonight as crew too tired to do double. When morning comes...
Hey! Hey, below! Balakai? Balakai? Hey, Balakai below!
Balakai's gone like the others.
Like all the others.
The mate and I have agreed to go armed henceforth. July 30th. Last night. We are nearing England. Weather fine. All sails set.
Captain! Captain, the men on watch are missing! More missing!
Now, only self and mate and 1 hand left to work ship. August 3rd. 2 days of fog and not a sail sighted. At midnight, I went to relieve the man at the wheel, and when I got to it, I found no one there.
It's here. I know it now. I saw it like a man, tall and thin and ghastly pale. He was in the bows, looking out, gave it the knife, but the knife went right through it, empty as air.
What? What is it? What are you talking about?
It's here, and I'll find it. It's in the hold, in one of those boxes of earth. I'll unscrew them one by one and see.
He is mad. Stark raving mad. It's no use my trying to stop him. He can't hurt those big boxes. They're invoiced as common earth.
He's there, down in the hold. I know the secret now. The sea will save me from him. That's all that's left. That's all that's left.
August 4th. I am alone on my ship, and still the fog. I dare not go below. I dare not leave the helm. So here all night I stayed, and in the dimness of the night, I saw it. I saw him. God forgive me, but the mate was right to jump overboard. It was better to die like a sailor in the blue water. But I am captain, and I must not leave my ship. I shall tie my hands to the wheel when my strength begins to fail, and along with them I shall tie that which it dare not touch, my crucifix. I am growing weaker, and the night is coming on. God and the Blessed Virgin help a poor, ignorant soul trying to do his duty.
Telegram. Seward, Purfleet, to Van Helsing, Amsterdam. Lucy Westenra, in alarming condition. Cannot diagnose. Come at once. Seward.
Telegram. Van Helsing, Amsterdam to Seward, Purfleet. I am on my way to you. Please arrange for me to examine your patient immediately on my arrival. Van Helsing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now explain that 6 months before the events recorded here, I had become engaged to a young lady, Lucy Westenra. We were to be married in the spring. My old teacher, Professor Van Helsing, arrived at 4 the next afternoon. I took him at once to Lucy's house. She lay in her bed, asleep. She was ghastly, chalkily pale. The redhead seemed to have gone even from her lips and gums, and the bones of her face stood out.
Young miss is bad. Very bad. She must have blood, or she will die. Yet she is not anemic. The qualitative analysis of her blood is quite normal condition. It is strange. I do not like to think how strange. Look. My God, her throat, look!
The black velvet band that she always wore had dragged up a little and showed a red mark on her throat. Just over the external jugular vein were 2 punctures, not large but not wholesome looking. The edges were white and worn looking. Well, what is it, Professor? What's wrong with her? Speak frankly. You can tell me the worst.
I wish I could, Seward. I wish I could. But I do not dare.
But won't you tell me anything?
I will tell you this. Your young lady is in danger greater than death. You must believe me. If you leave her for one moment and harm befalls, you will not sleep easy thereafter.
September 8th. I sat up all night with Lucy.
Arthur, I'm afraid.
My dear, you can sleep tonight. I'm here watching you. Nothing can happen. And I promise at any sign of bad dreams, if I see anything, I'll wake you at once.
You will? Will you really? Then I'll sleep.
I sat all night by her bedside. She did not wake once during the night, although branches or a bat or something flapped almost angrily against the window pane. September 11th. It was at this time that I perceived a message from Purfleet. It read, 10:20 p.m., St. John's Hospital, serious complications, case 891. Your immediate presence in London imperative. I had no choice. Sometime later, a paper was found among Lucy Westenra's belongings.
I write this and leave it to be seen, so that no one by any chance may get into trouble through me. I went to bed as usual, taking care that the window was closed, as Dr. von Helsing had directed. About 2 in the morning I awakened. I went to the door, called out, Arthur! Arthur! There was no answer. Something's broken the window. I'm in the room alone. I dare not go out. The house seems empty. The air's full of specks and floating, circling in the draught from the window, and the light burns blue, dim. What am I to do? Something very sweet and very bitter all around me, like I'm sinking into deep water, and there's singing in my ears.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood.
September 12th. Late. Only resolution and habit can let me make an entry tonight. We found her sprawled on the floor, and there was a draught in the room from the broken window. The throat was bare, showing the 2 wounds, looking horribly white and mangled.
We are too late, my friend. We have failed. God's will be done.
She is dying?
Yes, she is dying. Stay beside her. It will make much difference, mark me, whether she dies conscious or in her sleep.
It was late in the afternoon before she opened her eyes.
Arthur! Oh, my love, I'm so glad you've come.
I took her hand and knelt beside her. Her breath came and went like a tired, peaceful child's. And then the light from the setting sun fell on her face. And then, insensibly, a strange change came over her. Her eyes grew suddenly dull and hard. Her breathing was heavy. The mouth opened and the pale gums, drawn back, made the teeth look large and sharp.
Arthur! Oh, my love, I'm so glad you've come. Kiss me. Bend down and kiss me.
Run for your life! Run for your living soul and hers!
Lucy!
She's dead!
Poor girl! Oh, there's peace for her at last.
Not
the
so.
end.
Not so. It is only the beginning.
You are listening to the Columbia Network's first presentation in a unique summer series of dramatic productions featuring the Mercury Theatre on the air. In just a moment, our story of Bram Stoker's Dracula will continue after a word from our sponsor.
Thank you, Orson Welles. I'd like to ask all of you if you do this. The next time you're out in the car driving along this highway, just note the great number of eating places that display as their main invitation to you the words, chicken dinner. The reason, of course, is simply that the proprietors of these eating places know by long experience that, to nearly all of us, the one dish that is the symbol of good eating, it is chicken. Now, because chicken is our favorite dish with nearly everyone, there can be no mystery at all why Campbell's chicken soup should grow steadily in popularity. From every drop of the glistening gold broth, there's the rich chicken flavor you like so much. Steeped in deep chicken flavor, too, is fluffy white rice in every fragrant plateful. And you'll also enjoy the pieces of juicy chicken meat that Campbell's adds. Here's chicken soup. Deep and full and rich, and you'll appreciate it from your first brimming spoonful. If you've already enjoyed this homey chicken soup as Campbell's makes it, won't you remember to have it again soon? And if you haven't yet tried it, won't you do so at dinner tomorrow night? Because I promise you, just as sure as you'll like chicken, you'll like Campbell's chicken soup. And now, back to Mercury Theatre on the Air's presentation of Dracula. Extra special, Kensington Horror, extra special.
Westminster Gazette, September 25th, a Hampstead mystery. The Kensington Horror, the stabbing woman, and the woman in black are vividly recalled to mind by a series of events that have taken place recently in the neighborhood of Hampstead. Several cases have occurred of young children straying from home or failing to return from playing on the heath. In all these cases, the children have given as their excuse that they had been with a beautiful lady who offered them chocolates. In each case, the child was found to be slightly torn or wounded in the throat. The wound seemed much as might be made by a rat.
Extra special,
or a small dog.
Extra special, the Hampstead Horror. Read about the beautiful lady, extra special.
The Hampstead Horror. Another child injured by the beautiful lady. We have just received intelligence that another child missed last night was only discovered late in the morning. It has the same tiny wound in its throat. Well, Seward, what do you think of that? You mean to tell me, my friend, that you still have no suspicions as to what poor Lucy died of?
Nervous prostration following on great loss or waste of blood?
And how was the blood lost or wasted? You are a clever man, my friend, and a good doctor, but you do not believe that there are things that you cannot understand. You are wrong, Seward. Are you aware of all the mysteries of life and death? Can you tell me why in the pampas there are bats that come at night and open the veins of cattle and horses and suck dry those veins? How on some islands of the western seas there are bats which hang on trees all day, and then when the sailors sleep on deck because it is hot, sweep down on them, and then in the morning are found dead men as white as Miss Lucy was?
I understand none of these things.
After tonight, Seward, if you dare to come with me, perhaps then you will understand.
September 29th, before dawn. Now it is done. And I would sooner die 1,000 deaths than to live again what I did this night.
We will spend the night, you and I, here in this churchyard where Miss Lucy is buried. We enter the tomb.
And then?
We open the coffin. You shall yet be convinced.
Take care, Van Helsing.
Miss Lucy is dead. Is it not so? Then there can be no wrong to her. But if she is not dead,
With some difficulty, we found the Westenra tomb. I took up my place behind a yew tree on one side of the tomb, Van Helsing on the other. I was chilled and frightened. Suddenly, I saw something moving between two yew trees, a dim, white figure which held something in its breast. The figure stopped. I could not see the face, for it was bent down over what I saw to be a fair-haired child. There was a sharp little cry such as a child gives in sleep or a dog as it lies before the fire and dreams. Ow! Then the thing saw us. She drew back with an angry snarl. Her lovely, blood-stained mouth grew to an open square. If ever a face meant death, I saw it in that night. And then, suddenly, she turned and vanished in the direction of the tomb.
The child is not harmed. We leave him in a safe place where the police can find him. There's more to do. Come!
Now we're in the tomb. There in the coffin, the thing lay, like a nightmare of Lucy, the pointed teeth, a blood-stained mouth. Van Helsing never looked up. From his bag, he took out a book, his operating knives, a heavy hammer, and a round wooden stake, 2 or 3 inches thick, sharpened to a fine point and hardened over a fire.
Seward, the life of this unhappy woman is just begun. Then she becomes what you call undead. There comes with the change the curse of immortality. She cannot die, but must go on age after age, adding new victims, because all that die from the preying of the undead become themselves undead and prey on others. So the circle goes on, ever widening as the ripples from a stone thrown into the water. But if this lady, this undead, be made to rest as true dead, then the soul of the poor lady whom we love should again be free.
Tell me, what am I to do?
Take the stake in your left hand, the hammer in your right.
Yes.
Place the point over the heart.
Yes.
Then I begin the prayer. Then I begin the prayer for the dead. In God's name, strike. Are you ready? Now, Domini Deus et Priste, vide vivi quamamos tus dex colum tate patri.
On the morning of July 11th, a man was found on the border of Transylvania. He talked wildly of wolves and boxes of earth and blood. He gave his name as Jonathan Harker. In a hospital at Klausenberg, he improved sufficiently to make possible his removal to England. But then his condition remained so serious that he was committed for observation to a private ward in my hospital at Purfleet. Here, he did so well that in 3 weeks he was completely recovered. It was during this time that his wife, Mina Harker, brought to the attention of Dr. Van Helsing and myself the journal of her husband that her husband had kept while the prisoner in the castle of a certain Count Dracula in Transylvania. I have before me the record of a meeting that took place in my study in Purfleet, transcribed by Mina Harker.
October 1st, meeting again, 10 after 8. Jonathan next to me, Dr. Seward afterwards, and Dr. Van Helsing at the head of the table.
My friends, there are such things as vampires. Had I known at first what now I know, one so precious a life would have been spared for the many of us who love her. The vampire, which is amongst us, is himself so strong that he can direct all the elements, the storm, the fog, the thunder. He can command all the meaner things, the moth and bat, the owl, the fox, and the wolf. How then are we to begin our stride to destroy him? How shall we find his place? And having found it, how can we destroy? My friends, it is a terrible task that we undertake. To fail here is not mere life or death. If we fail, we become as him. Foul things of the night as him. What do you say?
I'm with you, Van Helsing.
I answer yes for Mina and myself.
I can answer for myself, Jonathan, and I say yes. Professor Van Helsing, Dr. Seward, you do not know me. In time, you will know me better.
Come near, my friends.
The professor laid a small golden crucifix on the table. We took hands, and our solemn pact was made.
My friends, we too are not without strength. The vampire flourishes on the blood of the living. Without this, he cannot live. He throws no shadow, he makes no reflection in a mirror. He can transform himself to a wolf, to a bat. He can come on moonlight rays as elemental dust. He can see in the dark. He can do all these things, yet he is not free. His power ceases at the coming of the day. Then, until night, he must remain in the shape in which he finds himself, and except in his coffin home, in those earth boxes, he cannot rest. Then we confine him in his coffin. Then, my friends, if we obey what we know, we will destroy him.
At that moment, something flapped wildly against the window. Then...
Did you hit it?
I don't know.
We looked out of the window, but against the black sky, we could see nothing.
From the Count's castle in Transylvania to WEBNE came 50 boxes of earth. All of these, to our certain knowledge, were delivered to Carfax. Recently, 12 of those boxes have been removed. First step, ascertain whether all the rest remain in the deserted house next door, or whether any more have been removed. We must break each of these boxes and sterilize the earth with holy water, so he can no longer seek safety in it. And we must hurry.
The next events of the next few days are transcribed in Jonathan Harker's journal.
October 2nd, 5 a.m. Just returned from the empty house and left Mina here at home. Well, we've done our work at Carfax. The place was filthy, the air was stagnant and foul, alive with rats. We counted the boxes, only 38 of them, and over each one the professor went through his same mysterious work. It was dawn before we got back, and I found Mina asleep. She looked paler than usual.
October 2nd. Soon after they left, I fell asleep. I remember hearing the sudden barking of the dogs, and then it was silent. I got up and looked out of the window. There was a thin streak of white mist moving across the grass along the wall of the house. It dawned on me that the air in the room was heavy and dank and cold. The gaslight came only like a tiny red spark in the fog. The mist grew thicker and thicker. Then, as I looked, the spark divided and seemed to shine on me through the fog like two red eyes.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, blood of my blood.
October 2nd, 8 p.m. We're on track. 12 of the boxes were delivered to an empty house at 337 Piccadilly.
My dear friends, until the sun sets tonight, Dracula must retain whatever form he now has. We have this day to hunt out all his lairs and sterilize them. Then he will have no place he can move and hide. But we have only until sunset.
The house in Piccadilly was empty, like the one at Purfleet. The same sickening smell was in the air. On the table we found a clothes brush, a hairbrush, and a comb, and a basin, the latter containing dirty water, which was reddened as if with blood.
The boxes are here. 8, 9, 10, 11.
Only 11?
There's a 12th box somewhere.
Gentlemen, it is after 6. The sun is setting. We've no time to lose. He will return at any moment. Open the boxes.
Quiet.
Listen. Here it is. It is Count Dracula!
You waste your bullets, gentlemen. You think to baffle me. Me who commanded nations hundreds of years before you were born. You, with your pale faces all in a row, like sheep at a butcher's. You think you have left me without a place to rest, but I have more, and my revenge is just begun. I have spread it over centuries, and time is on my side. The one you love is mine already. I have known her. Already my mark is on her throat. Flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood. She is with me always over land or sea. And through her, you, another shall yet be mine, my creatures to do my bidding and be my jackals when I want to feed.
October 4th, morning. Another meeting in the study at Purfleet.
We must find that last remaining box, gentlemen. We must find it. As long as that Earth exists pure, as long as there remains one place of refuge for Dracula, there is no safety and no peace for any soul in England.
And for the undead, never peace so long as he lives. Blood of my blood, blood of my blood.
Mina, how do you know that?
Quiet.
With me always over land and sea.
Mina, darling, how do you know that Dracula said those words?
I don't know. The words just came. Strange. There are times when somehow I feel that I'm with him.
At sunset?
Yes. Just at sunset. And again at sunrise. Dr. von Helsing, if at that time you...
Have you the courage?
The courage for what? What do you mean?
Dr. von Helsing here will question me.
I will question her, yes, in a state of hypnosis. The one you love is already mine, he said. She is with me always over land and sea. Ah, Count Dracula, perhaps she will betray you if she is really with you, this one we love. Who knows if she is really with you over land and sea?
Blood of my blood.
Mina.
Yes.
Answer me, Mina. Are you with him?
Yes, I am with him.
Where are you?
I do not know. Sleep has no place it can call its own. It is all dark.
What do you hear?
The lapping of water. I can hear it on the outside.
Then you're on a ship.
Yes.
What else do you hear?
There is the creaking of an anchor chain.
Wait, what are you doing?
Still. Oh, so still. It is like death. It is like death.
Here is a report from the Matson Peabody shipbrokers, dated October 5th. According to Lloyd's lists, the only sailing ship that left for the Black Sea yesterday was the Zarina Katrina, bound for Varna. Somehow, before she sailed, a man came alongside, all in black, driving a cart with a great box in it. This he lifted down, single-handed, and carried below. No one remembers having seen him after that, as a heavy mist came up over Doolittle Dock until sailing time. The rest of London Harbour remained completely clear.
Our plans are made. The average sailing time from London to the Black Sea is 3 weeks. We can travel overland to the same place in 3 days. We shall be there waiting for him when he arrives.
October 15th. Arrived Varna about 5 o'clock. Mina seems stronger. Every morning before sunrise and just before sunset, she speaks to Van Helsing in a trance.
Are you with him, Mina? Tell me, are you with him?
I am with him.
What can you see?
Nothing. All is dark.
What can you hear?
I can hear the waves lapping against the ship and the water rushing by. The wind is high. I can hear it in the shrouds and the bow throws back the foam.
So the Zarina Katrina is still at sea. Hastily to Varna. The Count cannot cross running water, so he cannot leave the ship without being observed.
What do you hear, Mina?
Lapping waves and rushing water. Darkness. Darkness and wind.
A whole week of waiting.
Lapping waves. Rushing water. Rushing water. Creeping mass. Darkness. Darkness and wind.
October 24th, telegram, Lloyd's, London to Harker. Zarina Katrina reported this morning from Dardanelles.
Lloyd's, London to Harker. October 28th. Zarina Katrina in heavy fog. Reported entering Galatz Harbour at 1 o'clock today.
Galatz? Galatz is 38 hours from here. And the first train for Galatz leaves at 6:30 tomorrow morning. My friends, we are lost.
Oh, I am with you. I can see nothing. Nothing. I can hear men's voices calling in the roar and the creak of the wind. I can feel the air blowing upon us. You have given me the baptism of blood.
October 29th, evening. We are due between 2 and 3 hours in the morning, but already at Bucharest, we are 3 hours late.
Something's going on. I feel it pass me like a cold wind. I can hear far off confused sounds, men talking in strange tongues, fierce falling water, and the howling of wolves. Oh, there is another sound. How queer a sound, like...
Like what? Speak, Mina, speak! I command you! I command you to speak!
Arrived in Galatz. Saw the captain of the Tsarina Katrina.
We received a box for a party by name of Dracula. Had his papers, all right? Emmanuel Hildesheim, his name was. This morning they find him dead inside the churchyard of St. Peter. They find him dead with his throat torn open.
October 30th, evening.
There are two ways in which Dracula can get back to his own place. By land.
We've examined the map and find the most likely river is the Sereth.
You and I, Seward, will charter a steam launch and follow him up the river. And Van Helsing and Mina will take the train to Veresti, and from there...
From there we shall go in the track where Harker went to Blisteritz over to Borgo Pass. If you have not caught him before, we shall be meeting Dracula there.
October 31st. We arrived at Veresti at noon. Van Helsing and I brought the carriage here. We start in an hour. Our enemy is still on the river.
November 1st, evening. No news all day. We hear that a big boat went up the river before us, going at more than usual speed.
November 4th, all day driving. The country gets wilder as we go. By morning we should reach the Borgo Pass.
November the 4th, evening. We've left the launch. We've got horses and we follow on the track along the river. We are armed.
Look! Quick! There they are now, heading west!
Through the dawn, we could see the Slovaks some miles before us, dashing along the river with their wagon, and on it is a great big box.
Late in the afternoon, we leave the Borgo Pass.
Van Helsing, look! Look!
We could see a long way all around, far off, beyond the white waste of snow like a black ribbon curling. Between us and the river, not far off, came a group of men, mounted Slovaks, hurrying along. In the midst of them was a wagon that swept from side to side. On the wagon was a great box.
We see two horses following fast, coming up from the south. Dr. Seward and Jonathan. The Slovaks, with their heavy wagon, are losing their ground. Now the horses are not more than a mile behind. Now the wagon is quite close. We can see the great big box swaying bravely. Now they are almost upon us.
Now has happened a strange thing. The wagon smashed into a great rock buried in the snow, lost its front wheels and turned over on its side, jammed against a stone. The horses tore loose from their traces and bolted. The Slovaks scatter and vanished after them. Then, silence. Silence like comes after ringing a bell.
Look! His face!
It is Dracula, sprawled out stiff and twisted in the smear of his unholy earth. The box, in falling, has emptied the dirt onto the snow. His face is old-looking. The skin is like paper. Dr. Seward, there is no time. Look at the sun.
Sunset.
In 1 minute it is sunset and he is forever lost to us. Have you the stake and the wood and the hammer?
Yes.
Now, Seward, pray for us. Kneel down and pray. Harker, the stake of the wood over his heart. Be not afraid, Harker. Do not look into his eyes. The hammer. Now, Harker. Strike! Strike!
Flesh, flesh of my flesh, guilt of my guilt, death of my death, speak and be manifest in the instant of your master's peril, element of darkness, rain, evil wind, mist and mold and tempest.
Strike!
The others couldn't, but somehow I can hear him speaking behind his eyes.
Claw, wing, scale, tissue of flesh, death of my death, dead and undead, the hand of the living is over your master. Console me, my children! This instant is no longer longer than the space between two heartbeats, but the night is not here. Come to your master, my children. Beguile him now in the instant of his peril. Beguile him with the sound of your names. Claw, wing, tooth, scale, tissue of flesh. Claw, wing, tooth, scale, tissue of flesh.
Strike, Harker, strike!
There is one who has not answered me. My best beloved one, Mina. There is less than a minute between me and the night. You must speak for me. You must speak from my heart.
Give them to me! Jonathan, give them to me, the stick of wood and the hammer!
Harker!
I shall never forget that moment. The look on poor Mina's face as she stood there, the angry scar standing out on her throat, her eyes like living coals in the last red of the sunset. She had torn the stake and the hammer out of my hands with the strength of an animal.
Mina, do you know what you have done? Do you know what you have done to us? You have released him! The evil is free!
Look! The sun!
As we looked down at Dracula, his eyes saw the sinking of the sun, and the hate in them turned to triumph.
Flesh of my flesh, come to me, my love. Come into the night and in the darkness. You have served me well, my love, my bride.
You've never loved! You never loved!
Yes, I too can love. You yourself know it from the past. Is it not so?
No!
Ladies and gentlemen, all the evidence is now before you. I've added nothing, and to the best of my knowledge, I have omitted nothing that might help to throw light upon the extraordinary events of the year 1891, which culminated on that terrible evening in the Borgo Pass. There remains only this one last report.
When Mina Harker seized the stake and hammer from her husband, I believe she was under some form of hypnosis. She herself remembers nothing, but whatever influence was at work on her, she must at the last moment have rejected it. For at that exact instant the sun disappeared, it was Mina Harker who drove the stake through the heart of the thing that called itself Dracula. At that same instant, even as we looked, the wound on the side of her throat was no more.
As for Dracula, before the screams of the creature had died from our ears, the whole body crumbled into dust and passed from our sight. And in the final moment of dissolution, there was in the face of Dracula such a look of peace, one that I could never have imagined might have rested there. The castle of Dracula stood above a waste of desolation, and every stone of its broken battlements was articulated against the light of the setting sun.
Tonight's production of Dracula by Orson Welles and the Mercury Theatre was the first of 9 CBS broadcasts in which this brilliant group will bring to life a series of great narratives, all presented in the immediacy of the first-person singular. In presenting them each Monday at this time during the summer season, the Columbia Network is bringing a complete theatrical producing company to the air for the first time. And now, here is the director to tell you about next week's Mercury Theatre production, Mr. Orson Welles.
Ladies and gentlemen, what are your favorite stories? If there is one you are particularly fond of and would like to hear on the air, would you please write me about it? Next week, the Mercury Theatre is going to tell you Robert Louis Stevenson's exciting yarn about pirates and the sea, Treasure Island. Until then, just in case Count Dracula has left you a little apprehensive, one word of comfort. When you go to bed tonight, don't worry. Put out the lights and go to sleep. It's all right. You can rest easily. That's just a sound effect. There, over there, in the shadows. See? Nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. I think it's nothing. But always remember, ladies and gentlemen, there are wolves, there are vampires. Such things do exist.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. Thank you, and good night.
All right. My friends, one moment. Thank you. Just want to introduce these amazing people. First of all, thank you, Ed Pettit. Thank you, everyone at the Rosenbach Museum and Library for having us. Want to just introduce our amazing cast. Megan Edelman as Lucy Westenra, Mina Harker, and others. We have Ryan Walter as our announcer, Von Helsing, and others. Jeremy WEBNE-BEHRMAN as Dr. Arthur Seward, and others. And I'm Josh Hitchens. I played Orson Welles in Dracula and had the honor of directing this piece. Thank you. And finally, the two people without whom we literally could not have made this happen. First, Jacob GLICKMAN, musician Jonathan Harker. And finally, huge round of applause for Kevin Downs, Foley artist extraordinaire. Thank you very much for being here, my friends. Happy Halloween. Thank you.